Good morning, everyone. Just waiting for everybody to attend and to be in the current in the webinar. So just give it a few minutes. Let's let everybody get in. All right, I'll be getting started shortly. Thank you, everyone, for attending. I'm just going to give it one more minute, just in case there's some that are late, just before getting started. Okay, so thank you all. Just be a bit patient, maybe another minute or two. Okay, I think we'll just get started. We'll just let others attend when they get in. All right. So, firstly, thank you everyone for attending. Again, my name is Justin, Senior Investment Manager here at Sharewise, helping clients grow portfolios. So just before we get started, I'll obviously share my screen now and we'll get started with the disclaimers. Okay. So, first thing here, obviously, this current presentation is information provided by Sharewise and is of a general nature only and does not take into account your personal financial situation, objectives, or needs. The information presented is for informational purposes only. Trading stocks and other securities carries risk. So please be sure to understand those risks before you start investing. Okay, excellent. So thank you everybody for attending. Today we will be going through a major sort of play in healthcare and AI, and one of the most well-known figures, Nancy Pelosi, has essentially invested in this company. And for those of you that don't know Nancy Pelosi, obviously she's very well known at the moment, and she's basically been getting a lot of coverage in social media around being able to pick stocks at the bottom and to invest quite well, right? So Nancy Pelosi's stock portfolio recently has become legendary in the investing world. Some, with even some joking that following her trades is the real cheat code to beating the market. Now, whether it's timing tech stock booms perfectly or buying call options right before government policy shifts in favor of certain industries, she seems to be having a knack for getting it right. So, believe what you may, and at the end of the day, she seems to be doing quite well. So she's been timing the market quite well. Most hedge funds could only dream of getting the results that she's getting. Let's face it, right? So at this point, some suspect she doesn't just read policy; she writes it with her brokerage pen, right? But that really is, I guess, just a bit of a joke. But jokes aside, while politicians, make well-timed stock moves, it does sort of raise eyebrows, right? So Tempest AI, TEM, we're going to go through a bit of detail on, all right? It actually looks like one of those stocks that could justify big long-term optimism. And I'm going to get into all of that. I'm going to also take you through some technical analysis on the stock. We're going to go through fundamentals within this webinar as well. And again, if you guys want more timely recommendations similar to Tempest, working with us on the advisory side will definitely do you justice, I would say. Okay, so Tempest AI, a legitimate winner. So at the end of the day, it's not just another hype stock, right? We believe it's a company with tangible advantages in a critical sector as well. So firstly, the healthcare industry is one of the last major sectors to fully embrace AI, okay? And companies like Tempest AI that specialize in precision medicine, diagnostics, AI-driven diagnostics specifically, and clinical decision-making could really be poised for some significant upside and exponential growth. Now, this is obviously as adoption accelerates, we will tend to see this occur. So why Tempest, right? Why is Tempest a massive long-term play, we believe? Now, there will be volatility. There could be some consolidation at the moment from what I'm seeing technically. However, long-term, there is a lot of growth potential. So firstly, it's a high-growth industry, obviously. AI in healthcare is projected to be a $200 billion market by 2030. Now, with this adoption only increasing, I would imagine that could also grow to a much larger number. All right. Next is it's a first mover advantage. Well, when we say it's a first mover advantage, Tempest AI already has strategic partnerships with hospitals, pharmaceutical firms, and research institutions, making it a go-to name in AI. So, especially for AI-driven diagnostics. Now, that's the second. The third is regulatory moat. Now, unlike many AI startups, Tempest AI has a strong track record of working with FDA regulations, which makes it less vulnerable to sudden regulatory crackdowns as well. Fourth, financial trajectory. Now, while currently unprofitable, Tempest AI is growing revenues quite well, and over 35% year over year, with analysts predicting profitability by 2025, obviously mid-25, right? Now, if Pelosi buys this, it might actually make sense, because if you look at some of the underlying fundamentals, it looks pretty interesting. While some political trades leave you scratching your head, Tempest AI doesn't need inside knowledge to justify a long-term bullish nature. So it looks really interesting, and it could be one that does extremely well. Now, you want to be mindful there will be volatility. I'm not saying this is not general advice to go out and buy it right now today, right? What we're saying is we do believe that this could be one of those businesses worth looking at investing in, okay? If you want better entry points and you want to talk to us on the advisory side around getting a quality entry point on this position, I'd be happy to take you through that as well, okay? So let's go through, I guess, financial health, right? So firstly, Q4 2024 revenue was 200.55 million, representing a 35% year-over-year increase, as I mentioned. So 2024 full year revenue estimated between 750 million and 800 million, indicating strong adoption of AI in healthcare. And then analyst projections. So revenue is expected to maintain a 25 to 30% compound annual growth rate over the next few years. Profitability and cash flow for Tempus AI. So there was a net loss in Q4 of 24 of 75.84 million, narrowing from prior losses in that quarter. The profitability forecast as well. Analysts anticipate Tempus AI will reach profitability by mid-2025. Now, this is driven by economies of scale and increasing adoption in AI solutions for medical diagnostics. Operating cash flow, currently negative, but improving as gross margins expand as well. Their balance sheet, not bad at all as well. So cash reserves, 466.32 million, sufficient to sustain operations for several quarters without immediate capital raising. Debt levels, total debt stands at about 471 million, roughly, resulting in a debt to equity ratio of about 8.78. So the key takeaways here from their financials are that, firstly, it's experiencing high revenue growth, but remains unprofitable. However, its path to profitability by 25 is promising, given the continued demand for AI-driven healthcare solutions. Valuation metrics we'll touch on now, guys. So firstly, we don't really have a PE at the moment to work with. We're really looking at more of a price to sales with these types of businesses. So their price to sales ratio is approximately 12.1, calculated using the trailing 12-month revenue of 640.44 million. Okay. Now, their enterprise value to revenue ratio, approximately 14.8, based on the enterprise's value of 9.452 billion and TTM revenue. Okay. So how does Tempus AI compare to others in the industry? Well, AI companies really, right? So industry comparison of AI companies at the moment, their median revenue multiples for AI companies is around 25.9 times. Whereas this is indicating that Tempus AI's valuation is below the industry median, technically. So healthcare AI companies, in terms of valuation, usually tend to range between 30 to 50 times EV to annual rate of return revenue multiples, suggesting that Tempus AI's current valuation may be conservative compared to its peers as well. So this is really interesting. When you look at that sort of valuation metric on a company like this, which is poised for growth, it could actually still be quite a quality entry point at the moment for the long term. So key takeaways really are that the valuation metrics are below industry medians, potentially indicating an undervaluation relative to its peers in the AI and healthcare sectors. Also, when we look at their competitive landscape, right? So firstly, obviously, no real dividend, consensus price target, 56.89 roughly. You know, you'd argue that it's already there. Yep. However, this could significantly outperform the average price target. Okay. So their business models and revenue streams, which we've really we'll go into actually before I go into the competitive landscape, but clinical testing and genomic services. So their business model really is more in line with genomic sequencing and molecular diagnostics. So essentially, they will be able to hospitals and doctors will be able to use their technology to find molecular diagnostics on genomic concerns, underlying health condition concerns, amongst a wide range of other reasons. Pest fees paid by healthcare providers, insurers, and patients is how they really get their revenue as well. And then pharma collaborations to accelerate drug discovery and development. We've got milestone payments and licensing fees as well. Healthcare partnerships, hospitals, healthcare systems integrate its AI tools, software licensing and service agreements, and again, data licensing. So this is another main area that is important for Tempus. So researchers, life science companies, and healthcare organizations will license anonymized data. Will obviously be using their technology, right? So that being said, obviously the growth catalysts and competitive landscape we'll go right into. On January 14, it's said, as I mentioned earlier, that Pelosi purchased 50 call options with a strike price of $20 a share. That's interesting, right? But again, you know, the point here is there is a lot of investment going into this business. Okay, expanding AI in healthcare. So again, 180 to 200 billion is projected by 2030. So competitive landscape. Now, Tempus AI operates in the AI-powered healthcare sector. So they compete with companies offering precision medicine, genomic sequencing, and data-driven clinical decision-making. So all this proprietary AI and data platform solutions they offer will be a very large part of their growth leading into 25 and on. They own a large proprietary healthcare data set, providing significant data advantage over competitors as well. Its AI models enhance diagnostics, drug discovery, treatment, and personalization of these treatments as well. Their partnerships, they're in collaborations, as I mentioned earlier, with hospitals, pharmaceutical firms, and other biotech companies with AI-powered analytics that assist pharma firms in accelerating their drug discovery as well. Okay, there are some competitive risks. So large tech companies like Google, DeepMind, IBM, Watson Health, these big players have vast resources that could enter Tempus AI's niche. Well, this is the main risk that Tempus really have. But again, the key takeaway is they're pretty much already there, right? And Tempus AI holds a strong competitive position with its data-driven AI platform and strategic partnerships already in place. But competition from big tech and startups does remain a bit of a longer-term risk, but at the moment, it still looks interesting and holds quite a strong niche in the sector. Now, growth prospects. So for 25 to 26, their profitability is expected to boom or be there, by mid-25, with the expansion into that new AI-driven diagnostic and precision medicine tools, which has increased, which again will prove to be a result of increased adoption by hospitals and pharmaceutical firms as well. Long-term, which is 27 and beyond, their expansion into international markets, AI-powered drug discovery, and biotech partnerships could become a major revenue stream for the company. Potential mergers and acquisitions activity in that time frame as well. We're looking at either an acquirer or acquisition target potential for Tempus. So again, key takeaway from this is there's a high growth trajectory and it's increasing AI adoption in healthcare, but competition will still remain the risk at the moment and will remain a bit of a factor for their long-term growth potential as well. Okay. I guess from this, really, the bull case is we think this is a niche category of investment for artificial intelligence, and investors need to make sure they're involved in these types of companies because we believe at the moment this is probably going to be the next big wave of AI. It's healthcare. There are others, but for investors seeking exposure to that booming AI sector, the focus on healthcare is important. And Tempus AI does present an excellent long-term opportunity as AI continues to transform medicine. Companies like Tempus AI will play a crucial role in shaping the future of healthcare analytics and patient care. Strong leadership, tangible growth catalysts, all available for the company as well, and a scalable AI-driven model, right? So there's a lot going for the business. Now, again, just finally, this is all for general advice, okay? So general information, please make sure you do your own due diligence. If you do want to work with me on the advisory side, guys, I'd be more than happy to look at a portfolio review. If you want more stock tips similarly to this one, please make sure you give us some, you reach out to us. We'll be able to help you with some quality recommendations. And lastly, I'll touch on some of the questions that were mentioned in the registration. So, John, John mentioned, what is the minimum investment? So John, look, there's no real minimum investment, mate. At the end of the day, the total investment you can invest is totally up to you. We would advise employing a general diversified strategy. We're looking at, in terms of percentage sort of movements, maybe no more than a 5% positioning, just to protect you against that downside risk from the portfolio. However, again, to look at this with a bit more detail and to give you a bit more insight might be best to discuss after this webinar. I'd be happy to take you through a review and maybe even share some details on stock tips. And just before we finish off, I'll also take you through a bit of a technical view on the stock as well, and then we'll wrap up for the day, guys. So bear with me while I share my other screen here. Lovely. So this is Tempus AI on the daily time frame. Obviously, as you can see, it's reached a bit of resistance here. It was slightly up, closer towards about 7% during the session last night, or in the mid of the session. Leading towards the end of the day, it actually pulled back quite a bit and was only up about 1%. But that's okay. I mean, look at this run we've had, right? It's done extremely well. It's pretty impressive. I've got Palantir here to share with you as well, which I'll go through very quickly, because in my last webinar, we had a registrant ask about Palantir, and I mentioned that it could actually break out, and it actually did, given their earnings results, right? Earnings was a significant beat, and you saw Palantir completely move right up in that direction towards 102. That's huge, right? So I'm not saying to go and buy this stock right now, but again, if you want some quality insights like this, please reach out, okay? Back to Tempus. So at the moment, what we've seen with Tempus, just a bit of a technical view. Now, it's not really giving us too much because obviously they only listed in June of 24. But if you do have a look at the short-term trajectory on the stock right now, we've seen a bullish move, a bit of a retracement, bullish move, bit of consolidation, bullish breakout, consolidation, bit of a pullback, double bottom, and then a nice move to the upside. So what we would expect is, given that it's had a bit of a run in the short term, we might see some consolidation, okay? Obviously, where that consolidation lies, it really depends on the market, Trump, tariffs, and obviously news flow, interest rate decisions. There's a lot of things to really take into account before making any sort of exact prediction on price movement on the short term. However, we still think long-term this could be an excellent play, okay? So the point here is, if you want to get in at a better entry point, I think you might want to consider working with us, and we could sort of monitor this before looking at a direct opportunity to buy, all right? So I hope that helps, guys. Tempus AI healthcare play. Thank you for the questions. I think there was another one, sorry, by Graham. Graham mentioned, do you follow the progress of the new Trump coin? Yes, look, we follow crypto in general. We don't provide general advice on buy sells on crypto specifically, Graham, but we do have diversified investment opportunities in ETFs, and we do track the market because crypto is now a big part of the investing economy at the moment, right? So we do track this. We can provide some insights, but we don't provide direct general advice on specific cryptocurrencies. Okay. Any questions live, guys? If you want, you can ask right now before we terminate. And I'll just launch a poll. I do have one other question actually that's come up here from a Joe. And I'm just launching this poll here as well. For anyone interested in receiving some more high conviction stocks, you can obviously click on that poll there. But another question here was, which AI sectors outside of healthcare would you be looking at? Very good question. We would be looking at fintech as a potential play. And besides healthcare, we'd also consider looking at the sectors of industrials and manufacturing, because robotics is going to be a large part of the AI drive as well. So all of this will go hand in hand. These are the sorts of sectors, Joe, that we would consider looking at. As a matter of fact, I've got a few recommendations that we will be rolling out in the near term that we could also look at together as well. Okay. Yeah. So look, lovely speaking to you all. If you've got any questions and you want to consider working with an advisor and investment manager, reach out. We would love to help you. We're getting some good results here, and I hope to speak with a lot of you soon. Have a wonderful day. Thank you very much for your time. All the best.